Singapore is training more teachers and social workers to spot the early signs of youth gang involvement. The move comes as authorities stress the importance of intervening before risky behaviour escalates into crime. But is youth offending actually getting worse? And what pushes some young people across the line? This week on CNA Explains, we look at the numbers, the warning signs, and what can help change a young person's path.
It may start with something small. A teenager skips school once, then again. They stop answering messages from home and start spending more time with a new group of friends. At what point does a difficult teenage phase become something more serious? Between 2016 and 2023, the most common offences committed by young people included shop theft, cheating and related offences, and sexual offences. Overall, youth offending has remained relatively low, but look more closely and one age group stands out. Those aged 16 to below 18 were the most likely to offend. Among male teenagers in this group, the rate reached 11.5 per thousand in 2023. But there is another number worth paying attention to. The number of inmates aged 16 to 21 rose 36.2% in just 1 year. What it does not tell us is what a youth offender looks like.
I might be quite careful not to say that there's a particular phenotype, because then this could lead to potential stereotyping, right? Well, again, it really depends on what the risk factors are and how these risk factors kind of interact with one another that lead to offending.
So, what is driving their behaviour?
A lot of times we will look at factors such as factors that are more related to individual ones, like impulsivity, poor emotional regulation. Then we might also look at familial kind of factors like family instability, not having enough supervision. We might also then consider the wider context like school, right? So disengagement from schools, having exposure to delinquent peers.
In Singapore, the minimum age of criminal responsibility is 10, but the path to offending can begin long before the police get involved.
If a previously engaged child suddenly stops going to school or becomes increasingly aggressive, start taking bigger risks, repeatedly breaking rules, becomes very disconnected from family, like hiding in their rooms, wanting to have their own space, and stop joining the family events that they usually have, or start surrounding themselves with people involved in risky behavior, that's when I would want adults to pause and observe and start asking what's going on here.
What looks like defiance may also mask emotional distress, trauma, or poor coping skills.
A young person could look like, very resistant, don't want to talk to anybody, pushing everyone away, but they are actually struggling to trust the people around them also. I think that's also a point where they feel that nobody actually cares about them either. So that doesn't mean like we excuse the behavior. It means we just try to understand so we can respond to it more effectively.
At home, financial stress, weak supervision, or a parent involved in crime can increase vulnerability. At school, disengagement, absenteeism, and poor support can add to the risk. Among friends, the need for belonging and status can normalize risky behavior. In the community, younger teens may also come under the influence of older peers. And online, social media can amplify peer pressure, cyberbullying, and risky behavior. But most young people facing these pressures do not offend. Protective factors matter too. A trusted adult, a stable routine, connection to school, positive peers, and early intervention. The risk grows when those anchors weaken and belonging is found somewhere else.
Peer influence can become particularly powerful during the teenage years because belonging and acceptance become very important. So if that peer group provides that belonging and identity, behaviors that initially seems unacceptable can gradually become normalized. Social media can amplify this by making peer approval, comparison, and social status much more immediate.
But risk is not destiny, and support has to come early.
youth offending might peak somewhat during adolescence, but then it does taper off after some time when they engage in pro-social behaviors, when they're placed in pro-social environments, and when there are early intervention time points that help the youth kind of desist from continuous offending behavior.
The rise in young inmates is one warning sign, but the real opportunity comes earlier, before risky behavior hardens into offending, when family, school, and community can still steer a young person away from crime.